News on the December series drops for Marvel Snap are finally here, and boy, are they something. Specifically, we have three cards dropping from Series 4 to Series 3. They are Jean Grey, Kitty Pryde, and Snowguard. And we have nine cards dropping from Series 5 to Series 4. They are X-23, Iron Lad, Sasquatch, Beta Ray Bill, Grandmaster, Fastos, Pixie, Supergiant, and Valentina. Now, if some of you are thinking back to the series drops earlier this year, thinking that this set of drops is a little bit on the slim side, you're mostly correct. Our drops in January as well as June in 2024 both had 5 cards moving from Series 4 to Series 3. One of them had 9 cards like this one going from 5 to 4, and the other had 7 cards going from 5 to 4. For those of you at home not keeping track, this means by the end of 2024, Marvel Snap will have added over 60 new Series 4 and 5 cards while only dropping 13 cards from these higher series down to Series 3, which are more freely and easily accessible to Marvel Snap's endgame players at a nominal cost. More specifically, this means that Series 4 and 5, i.e., the cards that are exclusive to collector's tokens and spotlight caches, will have grown by over 50 cards during this calendar year. When Marvel Snap first moved from using collector's tokens as the primary card acquisitions to spotlight caches for new cards, I was incredibly optimistic. Running the numbers on this system versus the collector's token system, it was cheaper for endgame players spending money to get new card releases every single week compared to what we previously had. It also came along with some extra variants to boot, and things seemed very reasonable. However, the system only remains reasonable under the assumption that Series 4 and 5 are not going to balloon endlessly out of control. In enter the state in which we currently find ourselves in for Marvel Snap, where exactly that is happening. One really specific and obvious pain point that's worth pointing out is that we only have one spotlight cache per week, and those spotlight caches only have 2 returning cards in them. This means once we have over 104 cards in Series 4 and 5, we will start going an entire year or more before every card repeats in a spotlight cache at least once, and that's assuming that every card is only running once per year, which is decidedly not true. In fact, for 2024 alone, we will have over 25 cards that appeared in spotlight caches more than once throughout the course of the year, which actually means if that trend were to continue, we actually are well past the point where we're going to go over a year between particular Series 4 and 5 cards showing up in spotlight caches again. Now, credit to Second Dinner, they do say in the series drop announcement that they are aware that this minor set of drops does not fix the pain points the Marvel Snap economy has, and they are committed to addressing those in the long term. They also go on to say that they're planning a larger set of series drops for the first quarter of 2025, which the first thing I hear from that makes me optimistic because that means we're going to see series drops again at some point in the next 3 months when all of the series drops inside of this year were 4 months apart. So hopefully at a minimum, this means they're going to be doing series drops more frequently. They also say that that drop's going to be larger, so I wanted to make a point to talk about what, in my opinion, should be the minimum expectation for that to maybe start to get things back under control with this system. In my opinion, the barest minimum we would need to see from a bigger series drops to remotely start getting this system back to a reasonable spot is dropping more cards to Series 3 from 4 and 5 that are being released in a quarter. We currently have about 17 cards released per quarter between Series Pass, Spotlight Caches, and events like Diner and High Voltage, which means we need upwards of 20 cards hitting Series 3 every quarter with a bigger drop. This is more cards than dropped to Series 3 in the entirety of 2024, however, so I have to admit my confidence is a little bit low that when they say bigger series drops, they're really willing to do what needs to be done to make this system feel remotely reasonable. I think, however, should they step up to the plate and actually decide to knock drops out of the park in this way, it could serve a really beneficial role of solving another problem that Second Dinner desperately has with Marvel Snap, which is having no incentive for returning players to come back into the game. If you have previous endgame players who have attritioned out of Marvel Snap, a big injection of Series 3 cards once per quarter could be exactly what you need to entice those players back in. They wouldn't be coming back in to the long and tedious just new Series 4 and 5 card grind. They would have a whole glut of Series 3 cards, likely many of which they do not have, that they'll be able to readily get a couple of times per week from their collector's reserves, in addition to working towards new and previous higher series cards that they'd missed while they away. It meant you could do things like returning player packages with these cards that have recently dropped and even monetize them to make some money from it, while also making it clear that this is a good time for people to come back to Marvel Snap, a game that they had previously enjoyed a lot of if they made it to that end game status. I do think it's worth calling out that, to me at least, it feels like Second Dinner is aware that their economy is a pain point for their players, both new, potentially returning players who aren't coming back because of it, and existing players who are slowly attritioning out because they can't get access to the cards that they actually want to play games with. The place where they're coming up short, in my opinion, is the fact that they seem dead set on wanting to get it right with an iteration and seem to be very resistant to the idea that they could do some sort of fix in the short term. I was really hoping and pretty disappointed that we would get a bigger set of series drops in December and finish out the year strong, but we didn't. They've alluded that we're going to get that in some point of Q1 2025, but that's months from now, and it's hard to say how many players we could lose between now and then, and if they'll also have the returning player experience improved to get players back in when that eventually happens. I like Marvel Snap, and I like making Marvel Snap content, and I like playing it on my stream and on my cell phone when I'm sitting on the couch and getting dailies and other stuff done. I want Marvel Snap to succeed. It's honestly felt like a rough couple of months watching them kick this economy can and series drops down the road, saying, we're working on it and we want to get it right, but we're not there yet. And it feels like that window for we're not there yet is closing as people are getting infatuated and distracted by other competitors in the market that are rightfully doing a lot of things. If Marvel Snap's going to succeed, the push is going to come to shove, I think, soon to get people to care about the game and feel like they want to be playing the game. They need to get these things right. I would love to hear in the comments down below what you think Second Dinner could or should do with regards to this. Is bigger series drops every quarter enough? If they dropped 20 cards to Series 3 every quarter, do you think that would be a good step in the economy in the right direction? Would you do more? How much do you think is reasonable? As always, if you enjoyed my musings, be sure to smash the like button on this video, and hopefully we'll see you back again soon for some more Marvel Snap game news updates, deck highlights, and more here in Hoaglandia Snap.